Why they're remaking the Lion King for the money and nostalgia. Why they're remaking the Lion King for nostalgia and money. Childhood nostalgia.
Well, this stinks. Oh, sorry. Not you. That Disney remaking The Lion King. How original. What's wrong with that? I can see what's happening. What? And they don't have a clue. Oh, they're remaking a beloved classic. It is soon to be doomed. Oh, the sweet smell of cash. There's nostalgia everywhere. And with all this CGI animation, disasters in the air. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the Lion King gets remake. Anyway, all jokes aside, it is I, Daniel, but you may call it the pop culture dude, and man, this news today. So, obviously, this is what you are seeing this from here. You're seeing this from this t-shirt. The Lion King is my favorite Disney animated movie of all time since 1994 during the Disney Renaissance era. And I've been a huge fan of the franchise ever since the original, the two direct DVD sequels, the Lion King Broadway musical, and the musical soundtracks that were just inspired by the Lion King, the Timon and Pumbaa animated series, you know, Hakuna Matata, Timon and Pumbaa. There's so many Lion King stuff. It has those video games, those shows, and those theme parks that are everywhere in Disney World or Disneyland. There's been Lion King stuff. But when they announced a live-action Lion King remake that was gonna be premiered July 2019, 25 years after the original film, I was like, I kind of predicted that I wanted to see what a live-action interpretation of Lion King will be as a kid, and then at the exact same time, I'm like, okay, it's made by the same team who made the live-action Jungle Book remake, Jon Favreau. He's a good director. He did give us the first Iron Man movie, and I'm like, when I check out the trailers, I'm like, oh my gosh, the animals look so great, the CGI looks amazing, the songs are great, and I'm like, what could possibly go wrong? Until then, when I go see the movie, I was so overhyped to this movie just because it was something that was a huge, significant part of my life, since this movie has so much action, emotions, drama, musical comedy, memorable characters, and it teaches you a lot about animal life valuable lessons, and basically the African culture that I get to learn more from The Lion King. And then after that, when I saw the remake, I had one of the most disappointing experiences. Like, you can see from this clip right here, I was so overhyped.
Run away and never return.
Rafiki!
Timon and Pumbaa! Hakuna Matata, Hakuna Matata.
Tonight.
You must take your place.
This is getting me in the feels already.
In the circle of life.
This is making me roar like a lion. Busa besitamo, busa besitamo, soprano para. We hum bum away. Disney, you take my money right now. I am blown away. I'm gonna order my tickets right now. Until then, I became not heartbroken, and I wasn't depressed by it, but the live-action 2019 remake did disappoint me. I thought it was gonna be more like what Jungle Book, like, how could Jungle Book 2016 do something great while Lion King 2019 fails miserably? Because Jungle Book, it did something like, obviously you have to pay respects to the originals, you're gonna have your bare necessities, and I want me like you, but you gotta do some things that are different, like the final act that Mowgli did not go to that village, and there's like more lore into the story. And same thing goes for the Aladdin 2019 remake. I say that remake was decent enough just because even though, like I said, their worst of most were shot-for-shot remake, because you gotta respect to the original animated movie, but at the exact same time, they did something that's a little bit different about Genie, like talking about the wishes specifically. You get to see more development as Jasmine from Princess to Sultan. Like, you get to see more things of what the original films didn't. Did the Lion King live action remake did any of that? Not so often, because literally it is a shot-for-shot remake of a classic Disney film. Like, if you compare this to live action 2019, it's the same movie. The only good things I would say about the remake is obviously Timon and Pumbaa, for crying out loud. Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen nails the roles. Like, heck, they sound so close to what Nathan Lane or Ernie Sabella did in the original animated film, and these two are my favorite Disney sidekick characters of all time, and probably my favorite duo. So that's why after when they made Lion King 1.5, where you get to see more of Timon and Pumbaa's origin story, I really enjoyed the heck out of that movie, since I do love Timon and Pumbaa. So Bill Eichner, Seth Rogen, they put up with the best jokes, including the Beauty and the Beast reference, like, "We are proudly to present your dinner, be our guest." I think that was a funny reference to Be Our Guest from Beauty and the Beast, but also a nice reference to the Broadway musical, which we will get to that later on. But their jokes and their humor were the highlights of the movie. Another good thing I would say about the remake, Hans Zimmer's music score. Hans Zimmer, I'm so glad they brought him back what he did the original film. Like, for instance, like, my favorite music pieces has got to be the final fight with Simba and Scar, even though, no disrespect to the voice actors like Donald Glover and Chiwetel, what's his name? Chiwetel Ejiofor. They were meh when they did the roles. They weren't like as dramatizing or groundbreaking for what Matthew Broderick and Jeremy Irons did as Scar, because Scar is my favorite Disney villain of all time, and I was disappointed how Scar was just your typical menacing villain, but not a villain that has like a type of personality and the way that he speaks his lines. Obviously, when I was a kid, I get scared by Mufasa's death, like, long live the king. And then in the remake, you just turn Mufasa's death like it's a joke, like, long live the king, and then slow motion, I'm like, why would you try to make one of the most saddest, depressing, emotional deaths in a Disney animated film and make it so cheesy and bland? And I'm like, why? So the thing is, like Lion King live action remake, it has its highlights, like Timon and Pumbaa. The songs, Hakuna Matata was great. The only thing I would say what the remake did better than the original was The Lion Sleeps Tonight, because in the original it was just Timon and Pumbaa, like, in the jungle, the mighty, but they actually dial up the song to 11, like, oh we moe, oh we moe, oh we moe. That was enjoyable. That I want to get excited for the theater. Like, when I was seeing the movie in theaters, I wanted to get up and dance, but I didn't want to get kicked out, so I'm like, no, I'd just rather keep my nostalgia for myself. And that was the biggest thing. Disney nostalgia bait me to go see the remake, because it's nothing but a soulless cash grab of a movie that I've already seen throughout my life, and basically the new stuff that they technically add. I mean, the hyena origin story was kind of cool, but I prefer the original 3 hyenas that actually, like what I said, has more character and personality and more memorable lines. Oh yeah, who do I also like? I like John Oliver as Zazu. His voice, it sounds fitting, and I do like where he improvises his jokes, like, this is what happened to my brother. So his voice did fit. I also did like JD McQuarrie, and I think the girl's name is Shagera Wright, who plays young Simba, young Nala. I think they did a good job with the roles as well. But everyone else, I have mixed feelings of it, especially, no disrespect to James Earl Jones. It was great to have him back in Mufasa, but you could tell that since he's getting older, you could tell that he doesn't have the same energy as he did with Mufasa in the original film. So I'm just pointing out my small little review from what I had, and then that's one of the things I would say. Like, basically the good things were the CGI, Timon and Pumbaa, Zazu, and a little bit of young Simba, Nala, the music, and that's pretty much it. But other than that, it was very disappointed from how I compared the remake to the original. Oh yeah, Circle of Life, even though it was the same, but I liked it. Hakuna Matata, applause. The Lion Sleeps Tonight, it was amazing. Just Can't Wait to Be King. I like that they mixed the original music, but the Broadway version, the one song I was disappointed was Be Prepared. Instead of just making, so be prepared for the cool of the century, it's prepare for the murky side. I'm like, this is not a marching speech type of song. Like, you don't get to have that in the original. And I was like, why would you butcher my favorite Disney villain song of all time? And Can You Feel the Love Tonight? It wasn't as sweet or as the original. It was like, okay, that sounds a little auto-tuned. And I keep hearing Beyonce's voice louder than Donald Glover's. I'm like, and it was taking place in daytime. So I'm like,
Can you feel the love tonight? More like, can you feel the love in the afternoon? Like, you cannot tell the difference between day and night. And to me, I was like, first off, like, I do want Hakuna Matata. I do want all the references and everything to be in the original. But the thing is, do something different. Like, you could still respect from what made the original Lion King special, but at the exact same time, you don't have to make this film shot per shot remake. And we already know that this is still the superior original version of the Lion King. And speaking of which, now just today, we recently got announced by Disney that yes, we are getting a live action Lion King sequel to the 2019 remake that grows over billions of dollars. It beat the first two Avengers movies. The first two Avengers movies! I'm sorry if I'm going psychotic right now, but since The Lion King means so much to me, and since I was disappointed from the live action remake, but now, since we're getting a sequel, but this time, they're gonna have a different director instead of Jon Favreau. I mean, no disrespect, I'm gonna say that phrase a lot, to Jon Favreau. I think he's a good director, and I think he did a great job for what he did at Jungle Book. But in the year 2019, he had so much to do in his plate, from being Avengers Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home, and also producing The Mandalorian, which is the Star Wars show on Disney+, and then do Lion King. To me, I was like, could they change a different direction? Because that's gonna be way too much to focus on, and since it's a pretty expensive movie. But let's get started from what are the important news of the live-action Lion King sequel, which it's no surprise because the Jungle Book was supposed to get a sequel, but there's no news announcements on that. The Aladdin live-action remake, which I thought it was a decent remake, like I enjoyed it, but it's also getting a sequel too. But the one thing I did like about the Aladdin live-action remake sequel, it's not going to rehash the direct-to-DVD sequels like Return of Jafar or King of Thieves. It's going to be something more original. So, is this Lion King remake sequel going to be the same? Let's find out in my handy-dandy tablet, like we did with my Chuck E. Cheese video. So, The Lion King follows up with Moonlight director Barry Jenkins to helm for Walt Disney Studios. So you got the filmmaker of Moonlight and it's a different director, so good choice. So let's read this article. The exclusive Walt Disney has Oscar winner Barry Jenkins to direct the studio's follow-up in the 2019 blockbuster The Lion King. Jeff Nathanson, who scripted the last installment of the writer of Pirates of the Caribbean 5, Dead Men Tell No Tales, which really divided the Pirates fan base by that time. So that pretty much explains. So let's just keep continuing. It's back in the fold, has completed the initial draft of the script. Jenkins has won the Oscar for Best Picture winner Moonlight, I know that. Was nominated for adapting Beale's Three Kentucky, directed both. The film will continue the photorealistic technology, oh yeah, where the animals cannot emote, so that's why you don't get to feel that emotion in the original, especially with Mufasa. Don't turn your back on me, Scar. That was in the original. But in the remake, it sounds slower, like, don't turn your back on me, Scar. Like, it's stretched out. I wasn't a big fan how the pacing of the lines were like a little too fast, a little too slow compared to the original that has that perfect pace. So let's continue. So the film will continue the full realistic technology that director Jon Favreau used in the 2019 and 2016 Jungle Book, which I still say Jungle Book 2016 is still my favorite Disney remake. And then we get to Aladdin. And what are my thoughts on Mulan? Meh, but this is about Lion King. So there's no release set for Lion King follow-up for the production start, but it understandably a priority of Sean Bailey's division after the film grossed $1.6 billion. That's what I'm saying. That's what Disney is trying to do with these live-action remakes. They're gonna nostalgia bait little young people like me, like, I wanna go see this because it's Lion King! And after that, at the end of the day, I'm like, whoa, we just scammed the money! We're about to put it in our Disney Vault! That's where old Emperor Mickey lies, by grabbing the money and, what other Disney movie can we remake? So, that's pretty much the deal, and then the next thing you know, the movie grossed $1 billion, because you all seen it, because, you know, the faith of nostalgia, and for making money, that sweet moolah. So, let's see, now we're gonna get to the story details. They're keeping under wraps, but I'm told that the story will further explore the mythology of the characters, including Mufasa's origin story. Moving the story will look back conjures to memories of Godfather Part 2. I see what you did there. Sit on the African plain with the continuation of the tradition music that was a key part of the 1994 anime classic film, the 2019 film, and the blockbuster Broadway stage. Before I continue, thank you. To me, that was something that I wanted in the live-action remake.
Like, if the sequel is not going to shot-for-shot remake Lion King 2 Simba's Pride, where Simba has a daughter named Kiara, and then Scar has an offspring that is Kovu, which it's basically like Romeo and Juliet, since the original Lion King film was based on William Shakespeare's Hamlet. This one is more like based on Romeo and Juliet, and that's what Lion King 2 is. So I thought it was going to be a remake of Lion King 2 Simba's Pride. Then I'm like, I'm not going to go see it. But since you got a new director, and the fact that finally you got something that I wanted back in the remake, the first 2019 live action remake, like basically I wanted to see a Mufasa origin story, and same thing with Scar. But since this sequel wants to go to mythological and get to more details of the past of the characters, I want to see more of that. That's why in the live action Lion King remake, I did not want to start off like it did like in the original. To me, I wouldn't start like that. What I requested, I wish the first 5 minutes would have focused on the origins between Mufasa and Scar. Like, the thing is, why did Mufasa become king? Why is Scar Scar? And why is Scar the brother to Mufasa? And in the remake, they only just tell you but not show you, which a little bit disappointing but makes sense, is the fact where Scar got a scar from Mufasa where he's like, I wouldn't dream of challenging you again. And I'm like, oh, so Mufasa was the one that got the scar. And that's why Sarabi was now the queen to Mufasa. I'm like, how come that they did not show that? Because when you basically, showing is better than telling. Because if you tell it, then people are going to forget about it. But if you show it, they will talk about it and they'll visualize it and they will remember it. It will be stuck into their heads. And I want to see that. Like, the first 5 minutes, spend the origin of Mufasa's scar and then go to Stevenia. So it will be different from the original film. And that's why I'm just saying, like, you gotta add those other scenes. Like, those are one of those questions that was never addressed in the original and the remake. Like, for an instance, how did Mufasa become king? Why is Scar Scar? And why did the hyenas have war with the lions? And Timon and Pumbaa, how did they eventually become best friends? We don't need that because we already have Lion King 1.5, unless if they want to make a short segment of it. And how was Simba's life growing up with Timon and Pumbaa? Or who's Nala's dad? I know it's a dark adult joke, but what happened to Nala's father? Mufasa's not the father, Scar's not the father, but neither the original film or the remake mentioned that. So finally, you're giving us something original and not rehash. And don't be like the rehash king of Disney remakes. Like, that's the thing. Like, obviously, I thought it was going to be a Lion King 2 rehash shot for shot, but since they want to go a little bit more to the past, it'll be great. And speaking of which, when they mention about the music, that's another reason why I love the Lion King. The music, like, not just the songs from the original film and the Broadway show. And speaking of the Broadway show, I keep mentioning that a lot. I think the Broadway show is the best live action adaptation of the Lion King because it got something that I wanted. Like, it's more like a Shakespearean stage play, but with actors dressed in African cultural outfits. But at the exact same time, they did some things that the original has never done. Like, we get to see, like, Nala being confronted as the next queen that Scar wants a queen. And then there was a scene that Simba has to save Timon and Pumbaa. It's in the Broadway show. I don't want to spoil it that much if you have not seen it, but you can find it on YouTube, and then you can just look up the live action, not the remake, the Lion King Broadway musical in New York. That's the better live action Lion King. Even Elton John, who wrote the songs for all of the 5 main songs of the original film, and he did come back to collaborate with his partner Tim Rice, who makes the lyrics, and Beyonce, who did the Spirit. He was actually disappointed with what the music was in the live action 2019, and he said the right music for the Lion King is in the Broadway show. So that's what I'm saying. Go watch the Broadway show, because it really, like, it makes original songs like He Lives in You, Hella, which was in Lion King 2, but at the exact same time, they really did a good job, like, how to translate African culture. And that's what I'm saying, like, it's really educational for me. And so I know how to speak African language. Jumbo, Mokizugua. So that's what I'm saying, like, hello, welcome to Zizabana. So basically, that's how you basically know, just because of Lion King. So it's a good thing, like, it's gonna give you some nice nostalgic bones. And my question is the music gonna be, like, reference from the Broadway musical, or is it going to be 100% original? But you gotta have Le Bohème, who basically was the African culture influence when it comes to the music and the chorus. So he was in charge with most of the Lion King music. So I think they're going to bring Hans Zimmer, who will do the score, and then Elton John and Tim Rice for the songs, and then Level M for the African traditional music beats that will be in it. But like I said, as long as they stick to like the music playing a big major part to their stories, but at the exact same time, keep it like the Mufasa origin story is one of them, but the origin story to the characters, that's something that is worth seeing, instead of just be like, forget it, it's a remake, you're gonna waste my money on it, so it's a big no for that. Mufasa, Mufasa, Mufasa! So anyway, those are just so far for right now, but anyway, let's continue. This is what director Barry Jenkins says. He says, helping my sister to raise two young boys during the 90s. I grew up with these characters, Jenkins said. Having the opportunity to work with Disney on expanding the magnificent tale of a friendship, love, and legacy, and furthering my work, chronicling lives, the soul folks with the African disappointment is a dreams come true. Okay, first off, I like that Barry Jenkins is praying promise to the African traditional culture of the Lion King, but at the exact same time, these characters were important and these characters were part of the 90s, obviously, from the original film, but at the exact same time, it's a good thing that he pays respect for them. So for him, like, finally making something that is more original. Same for the Aladdin live-action sequel and the Lion King live-action sequel. I'm so glad that, so you're basically saying, like, their first movies was shot-for-shot remake, but sprinkle a little bit new stuff in it, but at the exact same time, the sequel, now we could be more original. So as long as you stay creative and more original, not repeat the same thing, then I will go see it. You have to convince me by watching on the trailer, because Disney, do not nostalgia bait me, do not waste my time in the theater, and like I said, I could just wait till Disney Plus technically, so I don't have to waste my money on that. But if it ends up becoming, it's a Lion King 2 Simba's Pride remake, I'm like, I'm done, I'm out. I can't take this anymore. But anyway, the video's not over yet. Let me continue by the final phrases. So there's no imminent word on the last installment's cast. Chitwell Ejiofor, Donald Glover, Alfred Woodford, Beyonce Knowles Carter, James Earl Jones, John Oliver, Keegan-Michael Key, Eric Andre, Seth Rogen, Billy Eichner, Amy Sedaris, and Chance the Rapper, Hans Zimmer, who composed the original animated film and composed for the last film with Pharrell Williams. So that's everything. Like, there's no announcement of the cast, there's no release date yet. All they're saying is there's a live-action Lion King sequel, and what are your thoughts on it? Would you go see it? Will you not? We'll be like, okay, it's an original story. It's going to do something different from the Lion King films never done. Oh, this is going to be like, it's just another Disney remake. They just want to get your money. Like, I'm not worth seeing it. I'm just going to give it a shot. That's what I'm just saying. I'm going to give it a shot. Since the Lion King means so much to me as when I'm young and growing up, I'm sorry, I just have no choice to see it. But those are basically my thoughts. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care now. Bye-bye then. We are on my way.